And now today's featured speaker is Gina Stathos Beauvais, class of 2001. Gina has more than 7 years of experience in consumer marketing with a focus on market research, internet marketing, and brand marketing. However, her true passion lies in home organizing. And just before the pandemic hit, she turned that passion into a professional organizing business. Life Organized by Gina organizes homes and lives through simplified and functional design. In addition to her business, Gina is involved with community work through the local junior league and PTO in the past, and is a wife and mom to 2 tween-age children in Wellesley, Massachusetts. So without further ado, please join me in virtually welcoming Gina. Thank you, Gina.
Thank you, Emily. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I know I can't see any of you, but I hope you enjoy the presentation. I'll go through a quick run through again of my bio, and I seem to be frozen here. Here we go. Okay, here we go. So I graduated in 2001 at Bentley with a Bachelor of Science in Marketing. I did play field hockey there for 2 years, which was an incredible and fun experience. And when I got out, like Emily said, I was in market research, internet marketing, brand marketing for about 6-7 years. And then I got pregnant with my first child and decided I was going to stay home. But I knew when I made the choice to stay home that I eventually would want to do something on my own. Didn't quite know what that was, but eventually came into professional organizing. I am naturally a very organized person, for any of you that might know me out there. And I would help friends and family organize their homes and their lives. One thing led to another. I decided to open up a business. Of course, timing was everything. I did it right before the pandemic. But anyways, here I am. We're getting towards the end of the pandemic now. I've been busy, and I'm excited to share with you what I know and hopefully help you all organize your homes. So let's get started. Let's see. Where is? All right. So today I'm going to talk to you about the process of organizing. And this relates to something as small as a junk drawer or something as large as an entire closet or entire room. It's all the same process. I'm going to walk you through it and hopefully break down the steps to make it easier for you so you can go out back into your homes and get organized. So the first thing I like to tell my clients, usually they'll reach out with a certain project that they're looking for. But sometimes people will reach out to me and say, you know, my whole house is disorganized. I don't know where to begin. So we sit down and we do an assessment. And the assessment looks like this. Where are you looking to get organized? Is it one space or is it multiple spaces? Is it areas of your home that you use on a daily basis, or is it something that maybe isn't as top priority and you can get to a little bit later? What I always like to tell my clients is, let's start small, first of all, because then it's not as overwhelming. As we all know, small projects lead to bigger results in the end. But I also tell them what could save time, what could save money, but honestly, more importantly, what could save your sanity today that we could change right now and make your life more organized and a little bit easier. So for instance, let's say, do you fight with your kids in the morning to get them out the door? Can they not find their shoes or their backpack or their socks? Whatever it is, maybe we start there. Maybe we start in those spaces, your kids' bedrooms or your kids, or the mudroom or the place where you hang your coats and put your shoes. Start there so that maybe in the morning, you get to enjoy that cup of coffee just a little bit longer. So I mean, I think if you're out there and you're wondering where to begin, that's what I suggest. Start with what's going to make your life happier, and something that could be a small project that you can tackle right away. I think that makes a big difference for people. All right, next, you take everything out and then you start editing. This honestly is where things will get worse before they get better. You're going to take everything out of the space that you've decided to go to. So let's say it's your junk drawer. Pull everything out so it's completely empty. There's nothing left. Or say it's your closet. Pull everything out so there's nothing left. I know it's probably really scary, but it will be worth it. I'm going to walk you through this. And then while you're doing that, gather items around your house that should be in that area, but maybe might not live in that area right now. So you can see everything that you have. I was talking to Emily a little bit earlier and she said to me, you know, like cords in my house. There's cords for everything and they're all over the house. If you're going to start working on cords, gather all the cords in your house, put them all out on a table. That way you can see every single thing you have. Now you want to make piles of like items. So you've pulled everything out, it's all in a mess on your floor or on your table, and now you start categorizing. So say you did cords, so put, you know, iPad cords together or phone chargers together, whatever it is. If it's a junk drawer, pull out all your note paper, pull out your pens, pull out your pencils, your Sharpies, your paper clips, whatever it is, put it all in piles so you can see everything. Then it'll give you a good sense of what you have in your house. A lot of us don't even realize sometimes what we have in our own homes. And if it's right in front of us, it helps us see it a little bit easier and helps us walk us through the process. Then the tough part begins. This is where it can get very emotional sometimes, depending upon what you're clearing out. Now we're going to start decluttering. And these are the questions that I like my clients to ask, and I do ask my clients. When was the last time this was used or worn? Is it broken or worn out? How many of these do we have in our house? What's the worst thing if we get rid of this? And if I keep this item, does it align with us wanting to get our home organized? Now, this is tricky. I know so many items mean so much to so many of us. But if you really want to get organized, you are going to have to make the tough decisions and really think long and hard. If I keep this, am I keeping myself organized, getting myself to the goal of being organized? If it's something that means something to you, something that might be very sentimental, but you know that you don't really need that physical item anymore, take a picture of it. I tell my clients that all the time, and I actually did that with a few of my items. I took a picture of it, save it as a favorite, or even create an album for it in your phone. That way it's always there, you always have the memory of it, and it's not gone. Another thing I think we all get hung up on when it's time to say goodbye to an item is the money we spent on it. Even I do that today, and I get rid of quite a lot in my own home. But I do look at things like, oh, you know, I spent X amount of dollars on that. I shouldn't get rid of it. The money's already gone. You've already spent the money. So now you're holding on to this item for money that's already gone that you're not going to use. It's okay to let it go. Another thing that can be very difficult is when someone gives us an item that doesn't mean anything to you, or that you or your family can't use, but you have this huge sense of guilt that they went out, they thought of this item for you, they wanted you to have it, but at the end of the day, you still don't have to keep it. It might sound harsh, but it's true. And maybe there's someone out there that you could donate and someone else could use it. I know, again, these probably sound really tough, and they are tough questions, and it can be very psychological and very emotional. But at the end of the day, if you keep asking yourself, does this align with my goal of becoming organized, you'll be able to make those tough decisions. Now, once all of that is behind you and you've made those decisions, now it's time to start making some even more piles. So now we've decided the items we're going to keep over here. And now these are the items that we've decided that we are no longer going to keep in our home. But a lot of those items could be reused and in great shape. So make piles for yourself from there. Make a pile for donate items, pile for items you could possibly sell, find a pile for items that can be recycled, or then there's going to be items that are just pure trash and it's time to go. And as far as finding places to donate, honestly, you can Google different sites and you can find donation sites, places that will come and pick up items from your home if they're larger items. You could use your Facebook yard sales. I know our town has one. I know there's a bunch of towns that have their own yard sales. There's tons of different options. So at least if there's items that are in good shape, you don't have to feel as guilty about giving them away. All right. So that to me is the toughest part. So after we got through all that, then we organize. Now this is where the fun part begins. That would maybe be me, probably not everybody else, but this is where we really start to see the change. Now we've gotten rid of everything that we're no longer going to keep in our space, and now it's time to assess what's staying. And in assessing what's going to stay, we can see how much of those items we have. And now we want to organize. So part of organizing is measuring the space that you have. Measure, 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 always measure. Whether it's a drawer, shelves, anything. That way, you know, when you go to the store to buy those items to use to organize, that they actually will fit. Another thing to think of are what type of materials do you like? Do you like baskets? Do you like plastic bins? What colors do you like? Are you more neutral, or is this for a playroom and you might want to go brighter? Keep in mind your home's aesthetics so that you're not fighting with what's in your home, but you're also bringing a part of you into those items as well. And then also keep in mind of your budget. You do not have to spend a lot of money to be organized. You don't actually have to spend any money at all, depending upon what you have around your home. You can always repurpose different baskets or containers. A few of the stores that I love to go to for clients is, of course, the Container Store, but I also find tons of items at Target, on Amazon, at the dollar store. Here it's Five Below. Home Goods has a ton of new organizing systems in place now. And IKEA, I actually just finished up a client's kind of like mudroom basement space, and they used IKEA closets. It was amazing. And then, so think long and hard about what those products mean. And say, for instance, you're doing a pantry, you might want to look at food containers like the OXO containers, or it doesn't have to be OXO, it can be any other brand, items that you can decant when you get home from food shopping. So for instance, and then I know that this was one of the questions, how to organize a pantry. For instance, you come home and I like to buy a big thing of goldfish because my kids love goldfish. And so I bought an OXO type container. I dump all the goldfish in there and it's clear. So every time the goldfish are getting low, I can see it right in front of my face. And I know that, okay, let me add that to my shopping list because the goldfish are getting low. That helps. I also use bins in my pantry where I organize the granola bars and like little Pringles snacks and, you know, little chip bags. That also helps too, so that there aren't items all over the place. And again, you can see everything that you have. I'm a big believer in, if you take everything out of its original packaging and put it into clear bins or baskets, it just makes your life easier when it's time to go food shopping. Once you've bought all your items, once you've put all your same items in one place, you must label. Label, label, label. Labeling is such an important part of being and staying organized. You do not need a label maker to label your items. You could print something off the computer, a label. You could use markers, colored pencils, whatever you have. Just make sure you label it, because it does make a big difference in maintaining that organization. For instance, my kids, we organized a bunch of their crafting items, and I had clear bins, and they're all stacked in a closet, and they're labeled by crayons and markers, pencils, crafting tools. So anytime they need something or I need something, we all know, go into this cabinet, we can see it right here. There are the pencils. So when homework time comes and someone's looking for a pencil or a pen, it's right there. And honestly, it makes my life a lot saner and a lot less stressful, knowing that I can grab it on the go when I need them. What else? I know that there was another question about in regards to items, baseball caps. So it's the same kind of thing. Now we're getting into the warmer weather. We all want our hats readily available, but yet they're all over the house. They're in every direction. Grab a basket, put them in a basket in a closet. They also make these cap racks, I believe, on Amazon, where you can hang it over your door, put all your hats there. That way, when it's you or your husband or your kids, I need a hat, I'm running out the door, it's right there. You can find it. And then they know that that's where that place is. Because at the end of the day, everything needs a place. And once we all know where those places live, your kids and your family, they'll jump on board. They'll realize how much easier it makes their life. And honestly, if you're a mom out there like me, they'll realize how less stressed and angry you'll be all the time if you can find things too. All right. So that brings me to the last part. I know this is quick, I apologize, but I also know there's a bunch of questions. Maintenance. Maintenance is key to living an organized life. So everything in my house is run on systems. I have a system for everything. I have a system for, I believe there was a question on this, paper clutter and mail. I have a system when our mail comes through the door, there's a place at my command station where that mail goes. My husband and I can both look at it very quickly. We take it from that one place, we bring it into our office space. We have another bin where it says bills, receipts to be filed, and we put the mail right in there right away. So when it comes to pay bills, or when it comes time for us to start filing our items again into our filing cabinets, if it's receipts for big ticket items that we want to keep track of, it's all right there. We never lose it. We never worry about losing it. And we're both on the same page, which is huge for us. So again, when you're looking to maintain an organized life, again, labeling is important, because labeling is where everyone in your house is going to know where everything is. Like I said, the goldfish, my kids know the goldfish lives right there. Their pencils, they live right there. My daughter, we actually just redid her closet. It's a smaller closet, but it actually has a good amount of space. We've just never spent much time organizing it. And I just got garment hangers to identify what part of the closet different items should be hung. So for instance, it labels dresses and then rompers and sweatshirts. So now when she's getting ready to go out the door, or when I ask her to put her laundry away, she can do it and she can find it very easily and very quickly. But that's why labeling is important, because there's a place for everything and everything in its place, as we all know. And at the end of the day, too, you need cooperation from all household members. Anybody that's living in your household needs to understand the importance of being organized to you and the importance of running a household organized. It may take a little while for everyone to get used to the new system or the new process, but if you stick with it, I promise it won't feel as long, and you will have a fairly quickly, fairly organized run home. And I know for me, managing a business and a family, it really has been a game changer for us in our space, in our lives, and just overall we're happier, and overall I have less stress, to be honest. And because at the end of the day, organizing, it's not just a project you're going to do. It's not something you're going to check off your list. It's a way of living. And that way, you do need to have everyone on board when it comes to organizing, so that you live an organized life, which is why I named my business what I did. I know that was quick. I did try to touch upon some of the questions. I know there are a bunch more questions according to Emily. So, I'm sure that there's more I can dive into right now, get a little more focused. So, yeah, Emily, I'm good. If people want to
Thanks,
start.
Gina. I'm gonna, as you mentioned, I'm gonna go corral all those cords because they're driving me nuts. So I have to locate them all.
Well, and you know what, to that point, everyone could listen to this. When you gather them all, grab gallon-sized Ziploc bags, because most of us have those in our homes, and put all whatever cords in that bag, and the other cords in a different bag, label them, and throw them all into a container. And then you'll have that one container to go to.
On it. That's my one takeaway for the day that I know I can accomplish. Well, thank you. So I know you said you don't need to go out and get a label maker, but do you have a preferred official label maker that you like to use? If so, what would you recommend?
So right now I'm using a P-Touch label maker. It works well. It's very simple. It doesn't have any bells and whistles. If you're looking for one that does have bells and whistles, and one that I probably will purchase in the next year or so, is the Cricut. They've got, if you go to Michael's, really you can find them anywhere at this point. But they have all sorts of different fonts and images and colors, and that's a fun one. But honestly, I like the P-Touch right now. That's what I use for my clients. I'm a very simple, I like things very simple and streamlined. So that's what I continue to use right now. Yeah.
Excellent. We had a question that came in via the Q&A that was about refrigerators. So some people prefer to use bins in their refrigerator to help keep things organized. What's your take on that? And how do you make sure there's enough room with the bins for your groceries?
Okay, well, so those are really, really good questions. In fact, I just helped a friend with their refrigerator very recently. First of all, a game changer with your fridge is meal prepping. So I meal prep every week, meaning I wash all of our fruits and vegetables and I put them into food containers, and that way they're ready to go for either dinner or making lunches or snacks. In order to make sure they fit, it comes down to measuring again. Measure the space that you have. I like to use the clear bins for yogurts because they all kind of pile up onto each other and they're all falling all over the place if you don't. And again, label that. What else do I like to use? You could go as far as getting the clear egg containers for your eggs. Honestly, I don't. I keep mine in the carton. I mean, it's honestly, it's how much you want to get and how much you don't want to get. I have a friend who keeps all their sodas in their fridge, and they were kind of all over the place. So get one of the soda bins. I think those are very long and they're streamlined, and you can keep them all in one place. It may not fit all the 24 or 48 cans you have, but put those like in a back stock somewhere. And that way you can see what you have as you get low and just refill the fridge. Yeah, it's all about, at the end of the day, it's all about measuring, and it's all about, what I like again are the clear containers, because clear lets you see what you have. And honestly, it makes sure you don't end up spending as much money or time at the grocery store, because it's already on your list to say, oh my gosh, I'm running low on apples, or I'm running low on this. You can see it right in front of your face, and it really makes your life a lot easier.
Excellent. Now, switching gears from the kitchen to kids' rooms, how do you create a calming space with organization in kids' rooms?
Well, that's a very good question. So kids. So I recently just worked on a bedroom for 2 children who share a room, different genders, different ages. So there was a lot of items to go through. And the biggest thing I had recommended to our client was to create zones. So his and her zones, his and her sides. I like to put things away. My daughter, she likes to put things away. So we use under the bed storage. They have so many great under the bed bins for stuffed animals, for extra toys, for sweaters that you may be out of season. And once they're out of sight, they're out of mind, but they actually are organized because they're in a bin with a label on it with the item, so you can find it when you need it. I also like, for kids, I'm big into the file fold method. If any of you have heard about it, I'm sure you have, from Marie Kondo. It's a game changer. You can see everything you have in your drawers. But in order to keep them that way for kids, I can keep mine that way. My son can't keep his that way. I get drawer dividers, and they're expandable drawer dividers, and they can go right in. So when it's time for your son to look for his shirt, which I think is calming because you're not screaming at him to find his shirt, he can see where his shirt is. What else do I like to use? I also like to use pull out bins in their closets. So those drawer bins, they
Like the
stack.
plastic ones? Mhm.
Yeah, the plastic bins that pull out, they're almost like drawers, almost like a bureau inside of your closet without being a bureau. I love those because you can contain anything in them. We just contained my daughter's, all of her books, so they're not falling all over each other on a bookshelf. We contained all of her bags, and then a bunch of her toys, and a bunch of her, all of her bracelet making items, all of her beads, all of that little stuff that we all love, that they're creative, but we don't love stepping on all the time. I love that. I love if you can put everything away, again, contain it and label it, you can get into a room that's organized. I also encourage your kids to make their beds every day. My daughter doesn't always do it, but that ends up being the only thing on her room that's kind of a mess if she walks out the door, which makes her feel better when she gets home. We're working on the bed thing.
Well, that gets into another question that was submitted about how do you get your household to cooperate, whether it's your roommates, your children, your spouse, your partner, whomever you share a space with. What are some tips to get them to cooperate and putting things back, especially in a shared kitchen or pantry, even co-working spaces, I suppose?
So that makes it, so that's, a shared space between roommates. That is a very different, yeah, I mean, that's not easy. Let's put it that way. But I think if you hold your ground and just say, look, I'm trying to keep this space organized. I will help you contain your items. I will help put this system in place. So if I do all of this, can you help me maintain it? The maintenance isn't the hardest part. It's putting the system in place. if you work together and to say, I'm going to put this system in place, I think it'll make ourselves a lot easier, our lives a lot easier. I truly believe that most people are going to want to help, and most people see the benefit in being organized. But yeah, I mean, honestly, in terms of like actual conversations, you're just going to have to work with the personality, but just keep driving into them that our goal is to be more organized, and just keep working towards that goal. And anytime anything changes, just say, is this keeping us on the path to remain organized, or is it not? I mean, I know, I think I honestly, I haven't worked with roommates. I lived with roommates. And what we did, and that was so long ago, my age, but we all had our own cabinet. And that was our cabinet. That was like our space. And we had designated areas in our fridge. That's how we actually made it work. So then that way I knew I was organized, I knew what I had, and it was up to everyone else to figure it out. I don't know if that helped or not.
No, I think that's good advice. Another question, when you go to, when you're decluttering and you're thinking you might want to sell some of your items, do you have any suggestions on a best place to sell your used goods locally?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned it in the presentation. I've had success with, and I know a lot of my friends have had success with, the different Facebook yard sale sites. It seems to me that most towns have them now. And if they're not your town, there's, I think I belong to one that's in my region also. I've had a lot of success with that, and I know friends have too. Now, to that point, we're very private people, and we don't love driving traffic to our house to pick things up. So if it's items that are smaller, I usually say, I'll meet you at this parking lot at this time to make the exchange. But yeah, I mean, I think if it's larger furniture, if you're comfortable, and again, I've had so many people, they just leave it out at the end of their driveway and it works out great. You get Venmo, and it's perfectly safe, it's perfectly fine. And yeah, I mean, I think that's where I choose to start, and then go from there. Yeah.
Great. And how do you know what value to place on those items? Do you just kind of look around the other marketplace listings?
Yes, because every item's different. Yeah, I think about what I spent on the item, how long I've had the item, what shape the item's in. If it's in good, if I think it's great, excellent shape. And then, yeah, and then I price match to see what other people are selling it for. I mean, the good thing about a lot of those sites too is you can set a price, and then you could say it's negotiable. If so, you could always start a little bit higher and say it's negotiable, and go from there. But yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, let's look at some more of these questions for that we had pre-submitted. We talked about paper, we talked about clutter. Well, we did have a question too that I want to make sure we address, that somebody was wondering if you're available for virtual consultations.
I am. Yep, I do offer virtual consultations. Absolutely. Yep, that's definitely something I can walk through. I typically, I do a free consultation, and then if it's something you want to look into further, then we can talk about rates, and I can put together a proposal for you, and the proposal would include what I think you could use for products and how I think you could organize your space. But you know what, Emily, there was one question I remember, and I took a note for it. One thing that I do every week to stay organized, I think it was every week, or one thing I do to stay organized. Mm-hmm. And that's I call it my Sunday prep. Now, none of us like to waste our weekends doing prep work. I know that, believe me, I don't either. But I use my Sundays to meal prep. I do the food shopping. And by meal prep, I mean, I think I said that earlier, I wash the fruit. I'll make a huge salad for my husband and I to grab throughout the week for our lunches. I just don't dress it. It's just all ready to go. And we portion it out. I pack all the kids' lunches. I get their backpacks ready. I do whatever I can, like their laundry. I focus more on their laundry on Sundays, so I know that they're done for at least a few days. Clip their nails, because that's not something any of us love to do, but at least it's done on Sunday. To me, spending 2.5 hours on a Sunday to have my whole week planned out ready for me makes my life a lot easier, especially when you're running around with kids all afternoon. Yeah, that's something that means a lot to me, is the Sunday prep.
Excellent, excellent. And you had mentioned earlier, when you bring in your mail, you put it at your command center. Can you tell us a little bit more about your command center?
Sure. So one thing I love to tell my clients to use is vertical space. I don't love putting holes in walls all the time. I'm a big fan of the command strip hangers. But a command station, whether it's a table by your front door, we use a wall in our kitchen. It's just, and on that wall, and I'm looking at it right now, I have our calendar. It's a magnetic board. So I actually have a magnetic sleeve, and that's where we put all our documents that come in for the day. So anything mail related, anything that I need my husband to look at, anything he needs me to look at, all goes right into that one slot. That's where we hang our keys, and that's it, honestly. Actually, and there's important phone numbers I keep right there. So if my kids need to know certain phone numbers, they're right there. But once I take everything out of that mail sleeve, once we all have looked at it, I go downstairs into our office, and I did make a note of the product that I use. It's from the Container Store. It's little pull-out drawers. They're Stockholm drawers. They're paper drawers. And that's where I mentioned where I have 4 of them. One has receipts, one has to file, one has bills, and then the other one are stamps. That's right. So when we're writing our bills or need to send cards out, the stamps are all right there. And our address labels are in that same drawer.
That's a good tip.
Whether or not you have space for a table, you could use magazine dividers, the magazine sorters. You could put your mail in there. You could do the same kind of thing. Or if you have vertical space, I suggest like what we have is a whiteboard, but it's a magnetic whiteboard. So I can just pin stuff to it.
Bethany put the link to the chat to the Stockholm
paper
in the chat. So if you are interested, you can check out that link.
Perfect.
That's great. I have a feeling I know how you're going to answer this question, but advice on organizing Legos. Very specific question.
So you're all gonna kill me. I organize our Legos by color. So but honestly, that was a few years ago, and my son, oh God, probably not, it's probably like 7 years, something like that ago. But it was like an afternoon project for him. I was like, all right, we're gonna organize the Legos. And he was like, and he actually got into it because he was at that like toddler preschool age where he was like, oh, this is cool. And it stayed like that. I know a lot of people are like, it'll never stay. It stayed like that. You come into my cabinets right now, they're all still labeled like that. Then they got more different sets. And then I started for certain bigger sets that have a ton of pieces. I like to put those in their own bin with the instructions. And then I bought just a very slim container where I keep all of the instructions. So if he ever wants to go back to build one of them that's got all the different colors, he can find the instructions. But yeah, I mean, it's either if you want to keep it by set, I think that's an easy way to do it, in a bin with the instructions in the bin together, and just stack them. I mean, that's what I found to be the best. I know Lego makes a lot of different types of containers. If Bethany wants to link this too, one of my favorite containers are from the Container Store. They're called the shoebox containers, and they come in different sizes. I use those for everything. And you can even buy like a pack of 20 of them. They're very affordable, they're clear, and I can't tell you how many times I have repurposed those different containers all over my house. So those, I like to use those because they fit on top of each other. And you're not fighting with trying to fit this container on top of that container. It all just works.
Bethany already put it in the chat. She's so quick. So there you go. If you want that. Any other favorite products, or I know you mentioned some places that you buy things that aren't as expensive as, say, going to the Container Store. Any other tips and tricks on containers?
Yeah, so there's one other item that I love that I buy at Target, and I frequent this item. It's called the Y Weave basket. And it's a plastic basket, comes in different colors and different sizes, but they're usually like $4, $6, $8, and they're pretty big. I actually did a mudroom with them where I put all of the kids' hats in there, and then another one for all the kids' gloves. And that one I love because you can label it very easily, comes in different colors, and they're super affordable. I love those. Love those. Did you find it?
She did. She did. She put it in the chat. So you guys all have these tools that you can use. Okay, well, I think we've answered a lot of the questions that we received both live and beforehand. Do you have any final tips for everyone to go out and get their life organized?
Just stay, if you want to get organized, just keep that in your mantra. Just keep saying, does this align with my goal of getting organized? Whether it's decluttering, getting your family on board, the product you're going to use, just keep your eye on the prize. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much, Gina. We really appreciate your time and sharing with everyone. Feel free to reach out to Gina directly. Here's her contact information. Follow her. Maybe she shares on her Instagram. Somebody was asking and they wanted to see a photo of your pantry, but then you flashed up the other picture.
I think it might be on my Instagram, but I'll add it again if it's not.
So you can take all of Gina's tips from her real life photos. All right, everyone. Thank you again and have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much.